What led you into the work that you're doing today through the Sister Cities project and through the being an author and sharing your perspective on what's going on? What led you into that?
I'm a spiritual person, and this all started with my mother. My mother, I think the whole point of me going back between different communities, and even with her deciding initially to put me in kindergarten at an all white school, I think was her trying to show me something, right? She was trying to help me understand at that point. And I believe everything that I do to this day, like I've always, I number one feel like I'm living a life that my mom would be proud of. Number one. And I know now in hindsight the type of woman that my mother was. My mom was an angel. My mom was the woman in our neighborhood, in the community, where people went to her when they had problems, right? So I was actually in the living room a lot of times where she's talking to people. When she was at work, people are coming to her for advice, right? So these things were ingrained in me as far as the type of human that I wanted to be. And so I think, at some point, even going through the transitions in my life and looking at, the misunderstandings between people, especially when it came to me, dealing, being around, in an all white community, and then realizing how they misunderstand people from under resourced communities. As you're going back, and I've always had this thing in me, like, how are people getting it this wrong, right? So I think that has always been in me, and so I had always wanted to do something. I just didn't know what it was, and I went through all my challenges, and of course I think that, when Sister Cities finally came to me, I call it was a gift from my mother. She gave it to me. I just needed to figure out what the framework was going to be.
What were you seeing that other people didn't seem to be clear about?
So that was a very specific moment for me. So it's COVID, so 2020, when the George Floyd thing happened, right? I am sitting there and I'm watching TV, and we're all glued to the TV. We're all trying to, what is going on
Figure out
here?
what's going on.
Yeah, I'm watching everything. I'm watching the news. I'm watching all these different whatever it is about what's going on in America that's making this happen. And as I'm listening to everything that's going on, it hit me like a ton of bricks all at once, which was, people were talking about policy changes. They were talking about racism in general. How do we end racism? And literally, because of these experiences we're talking about, what hit me was the understanding part. All at once, I said, you know what? No, it's none of that. It's the fact that we're so segregated right now, and people are not trying to understand each other. And I heard something really profound, and is what kind of confirmed that for me. I think I was watching. There was this panel discussion of all these leaders from across the country, Black leaders, and there was a woman who asked a question. One of the panelists, she said, and this was on Zoom. So she said, if there is if you have a friend, she asked the whole panel, she said, look, if you have a friend that is in need, what do you do? And the panel, everyone said, well, you help them, right? And then she goes, if there is a person over there that's in need, what do you do? And, some people said, okay, well, you help them. Other people said, well, you don't know that person. So what do you do? And that hit me all at once, meaning if you don't know a person, why would you help them? Right? There's no, if you don't know, how do you help them? And that's what we have going on right now. It's like there are many people that need help, need to be understood, all these things, but we're so segregated that people are deciding to stay in their own silo and only help the people that they're around, and only help the people that are in their own communities and things like that. So that's how that That's how I figured that out at that point.
And so when you say understanding each other, what is the thing that's actually breaking down? What is breaking down that needs resolve?
I think you mentioned it earlier, the uncomfortable part, right? The I think our society has gone in this direction where everything is about you, right? Everything is about making you comfortable. They're your songs, they're your TV channels, they're your this, your that. Social media is your algorithm, the stuff you want to see, right? So we're being programmed to be, it's all about me and all about making me comfortable. And we're less willing and less apt to say, I'm going to seek out, right, being uncomfortable. So I think that's the problem. I think, I was talking to someone the other day where it's this thing of, if you really look at your friend groups, right? They're all people for the most part, and not everyone, but a lot of people surround themselves with people that make them comfortable, right? That have the same thought process, that are not going to, rock the boat when you're around them. You just want this fun time, that's what we're doing, and we're segregating ourselves without having dialogue in uncomfortable situations. So I think that's the little thing that's breaking down, that we need to somehow, and social media is a big part of that, but we need to somehow get that, do something about that.
Well, my friends better get it together because they're
Right.
constantly calling me on my crap, and I don't like it. They
Right.
better fix that.
Hey, those are good friends though.
Those are the
That's the
best
point.
friends.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
have the best people around me. I truly, truly do.